This is Top 30.
Welcome to a special edition of Top 30, Celebrating Heroes. In honor of Veterans Day on Saturday, we'll look back at stories showcasing the courage, dedication, and sacrifice of veterans and their families. They are true American heroes who selflessly served our country, and this is our humble way of saying thank you for your service. Veterans Day is on November 11th every year, the day World War I officially ended in 1918. In 1938, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed legislation making it a national holiday. It was called Armistice Day and honored those who fought in World War I. The name changed to Veterans Day in 1954 to include World War II and the Korean War. Today, we honor all of our veterans with parades across the country and a solemn ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. And Top 30 is celebrating heroes, like a veteran who's educating and employing fellow vets, a Gold Star mother who biked across the country to raise money for other military families, and a man who's seen it all, America's oldest living veteran. But we start with a story of two vets forging an unlikely friendship. Sheriff's Deputy Mark Watson was on patrol when he got a call about a potential drunk driver. Instead of finding someone causing trouble, he found someone needing help. 84-year-old Lyle Wise suffers from dementia. He had been running errands when he got confused about where he was. Lyle's only form of identification was a stack of business cards. Deputy Watson, a former Marine, noticed one of the cards looked familiar.
I ran across this card that looked a lot like a miniature discharge paperwork. And it said United States Marine Corps, in either the 40s or 50s. And I knew that there's no doubt in my mind I had to get this guy home.
Watson realized he was standing with a fellow brother in arms, a veteran of the Korean War. Although it was Watson's public service to bring Lyle home, Watson took it further and remains in Lyle's life.
You know, they say once a Marine, always a Marine, and that holds true. We are a band of brothers.
For our service members, no man is ever left behind.
Our next two heroes are living examples that having a disability doesn't need to slow you down. A Marine who lost both of his legs in Afghanistan is running 31 marathons in 31 days. Rob Jones is raising money for veterans charities and hopes his runs will lead to $1 million in donations. And along with raising money, he wants to be an example to other injured vets and show the importance of sacrificing for a larger goal. He started his first marathon in London and will run his last one in Washington, D.C. on November the 11th, which is Veterans Day. This is not the first time Jones has completed a grueling physical task to raise money for vets. In 2014, he rode a bicycle from Maine to California in the winter. Another veteran who is beating the odds is former Marine Mike Nicholson, who won gold at this year's Invictus Games. Started by Prince Harry, the Invictus Games honor military service members who were wounded in combat. After losing 3 limbs in Afghanistan, Mike found comfort in sports. At the Games, he competed in golf and swimming and gained a royal fan.
When we saw triple amputee Mike Nicholson nail a 150-yard drive on a golf course.
Nicholson walked away with a gold medal in swimming, and he told Fox 13 Tampa Bay the experience is one that he will never forget.
I think it's kind of me paying back for everyone who has supported me in the past. This is my way of saying thank you to them.
Fresh off his gold medal win, Nicholson is already looking ahead to next year's Games in Australia. In this special edition of Top 30, we look back at stories celebrating our military heroes in honor of Veterans Day. But some of our heroes aren't just servicemen and women, they're also the families that support them at home. Kay Jordan's son, Austin Garrett Staggs, was killed in action in Afghanistan 7 years ago. After losing Austin, Kay became a Gold Star mother, which is the term used to describe a family member who's lost a loved one in military service. Inspired by her son's patriotism, Kay decided to bike across America to meet with other Gold Star families. According to Fox 10 Phoenix, Kay began in San Diego, California, and ended at Ground Zero in New York. The whole journey took her 5 months. She rode on behalf of the non-profit Legacies Alive, which supports Gold Star families and brings awareness to the lives of all service members who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
As a Gold Star family, you hear on television, we've lost 3 more, and it just takes your heart, and it just presses in on it, takes your breath away, because you know that family has to suffer and it's hard.
As with every day, Austin was along for the ride in his mother's heart.
I tell Austin good morning every morning. I tell him good night. You know, he's with me. He's been with me on the ride. It's good.
Proving that even when we lose a service member, their memory lives on.
There's no greater thrill than to be high in the sky. And for our next two stories, it's also a way to celebrate a legacy. For most people in their 90s, a typical morning doesn't begin with jumping out of an airplane. Lori Phillips, though, is not like most people.
I'm a little nervous, but I've taken risks before.
Her husband, Bill, was a World War II veteran and served in the 82nd Airborne Division. He passed away last year. The 82nd Airborne made 4 combat jumps in World War II and were a vital part in winning the war. Not only does her daring dive pay tribute to her husband, but it also honors other service members in her family as well. Honoring those we've lost can be a great way to help them live on. And Fox 13 Tampa Bay was with Bob Brocklehurst as he spent his 96th birthday in a P-51 cockpit, similar to the one he flew during the war. He may have needed a hand climbing aboard, but once he took those controls, it was as if he were 21 again.
All clear for a loop, are we?
Made me feel right at home. It's just like putting the car in the garage. You do it without thinking.
After all of the sacrifices these Americans have made for their country, their time in the sky was heaven sent.
Advancements in technology have made the lives of wounded veterans easier as they return to civilian life. One of those, virtual reality, is changing the way therapists help their patients. Patients like Bruce Chambers, who is working through his trauma from his 15-month tour in Iraq. According to Fox 35 Orlando, Chambers was hit with a 400-pound IED, and he saw his fellow soldiers get hit as well. But instead of reliving it every day by himself, he repeats it with his therapist.
Unknown enemy contact, gunfire off in the distance.
We got incoming air support.
And the sensations aren't limited to visual and audio recreations. The chair shakes during explosions, and different smells are piped into the room. And while it can't erase the tragic memory, patients are able to move on from their anxiety.
I think I became a better father, a better partner in my relationship.
While VR is able to help soldiers work through past memories, home innovations help establish an environment to create new ones. Army Captain Luis Avila was injured when a roadside bomb exploded during his 5th tour in Afghanistan.
While we never can truly repay the debt that we owe Luis, we can strive to show him and his brothers and sisters in arms our appreciation and gratitude whenever possible.
The Gary Sinise Foundation was established in 2012, and it builds homes with automated amenities to ease wounded veterans' daily challenges. It is part of their RISE program, or Restoring Independence, Supporting Empowerment, where wounded veterans are able to regain their mobility and reclaim their self-reliance. Captain Avila, his wife Claudia, and their 3 sons are grateful for the generosity of the foundation to help them move forward with their lives.
This is gonna be our house, our home.
Mental and physical injuries can make the return home difficult, but thanks to these organizations, technology is making their lives a little easier. In this special edition of Top 30, we look back at stories celebrating our military heroes in honor of Veterans Day. These next 2 stories show there's no greater bond than that between a man and his dog. But imagine if they've been through war together. Nick Pashulski flew Black Hawk helicopters in Iraq for nearly a year. During that time, wounded soldiers counted on him to airlift them out of harm's way. But there was one life he saved that was different from all the others, a 1-year-old dog named Aries. According to Fox 13 Tampa Bay, Aries was running with a pack of feral dogs when she spotted the helicopter crew and befriended them immediately. Aries formed a strong bond with Nick. He even built her a kennel inside the hangar so she could be near him. However, his deployment came to an end and he was forced to return to the United States, leaving Aries behind. That's where SPCA International and Operation Baghdad Pups came in. Since 2008, Operation Baghdad Pups has rescued over 640 animals and reunites them with members of the US military that they came to love, just like Nick and Aries. He was worried that she wouldn't remember him, but she clearly didn't forget. The bond between Aries and Nick shows pets can provide so much more than just companionship. For some veterans, they provide crucial comfort and therapy. Twin Cities Army veteran Carl Ringberg suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. He talked to Fox 9 Minneapolis.
Put me on different pills and take this one, well, that doesn't work, take this one, that doesn't work. So I decided on my own to go and try to find another tool to help me cope with PTSD. And that's where Jed came in.
Jed is a lovable 6-year-old golden retriever that had been going through his own troubles.
Jed wasn't going to get placed with Helping Paws. He was kind of needing separation anxiety.
Now they don't have to go it alone.
When I found him, it was kind of a perfect fit because I needed that constant attention, the constant touch, and so did he. So we became one right off the bat.
With Jed's support, Carl has the strength to be of service to others, because when we lend a helping hand, we are never alone.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 29 Philadelphia, history was made when David Fleming was promoted to Brigadier General, making him the first African-American general of the Delaware Army National Guard. General Fleming has over 25 years of experience in law enforcement, and he's the father of 9 children and 5 grandchildren. At the promotion ceremony, he told members of the National Guard to move heaven and earth to get where you want to go. In our second story from Fox 5 New York, a stable in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey provides equine therapy to military veterans. The program, From Combat to Calm, brought vets, almost all of whom suffer from PTSD, to Serenity stables to interact with horses. Many describe the event as a therapeutic experience.
It's very calming and very, very soothing for me. It's like I could be in the worst mood and the horses just make me happy. It's like safe. I feel safe around them.
For some, it was their first time coming into contact with a horse. In our final story from Fox 4 Dallas, Jason Waller graduated from Southern Methodist University with a mission to help train veterans to be entrepreneurs. Jason understands firsthand the struggle of returning to civilian life after military service. He served a 15-month deployment in Iraq. Now Jason is hiring vets for his business, Emergent Services, and trains them to be independent insurance adjusters, giving them the tools for success after serving their country.
In this special edition of Top 30, we look back at stories celebrating our military heroes in honor of Veterans Day. Medals and memorials are concrete symbols of soldiers' bravery. These next stories highlight organizations that make sure veterans are reunited with these representations of their enduring sacrifices. The Purple Heart is the oldest military award still given to members of the United States military. It embodies veterans' selflessness to serve, awarded to those who have been wounded or killed on the battlefield. However, sometimes veterans have had their medals misplaced, lost, or even stolen. Fortunately, the non-profit organization Purple Hearts Reunited is there for those veterans and their families. On August the 7th, Purple Heart Day, Fox 5 New York was there as the organization conducted a return ceremony to reunite 8 medals from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and Iraq. Some of the men returned home safe, some never came home, but their heroic actions live on in their Purple Hearts.
For a lot of these families, this was the last tangible item that they've ever received. That last thing they could touch, they can feel that memory of that loved one that didn't come home.
While medals are one way to celebrate a soldier's sacrifices, memorials are another. The Honor Flight Network brings veterans to our nation's capital so they can visit war monuments, find a sense of community with other veterans, and get closure. Recently, 2 brothers from Statesville, North Carolina, boarded an honor flight to Washington, D.C. to visit the Vietnam Memorial. According to Fox 46 Charlotte, Chester and Sidney Harmon both served in Vietnam at the same time. Sidney was drafted while Chester volunteered. It will be their first time visiting the monument, a symbol of heroism for all Americans.
For those serving in the military, spending time away from family is never easy. But when they come home, it makes the reunion that much sweeter. U.S. Navy sailor Bob Ramos hadn't seen his children for 11 months as he was serving in Afghanistan. When he got back, Fox 46 Charlotte was there as he gave his kids the surprise of a lifetime, a reunion that was absolutely priceless. But the celebration didn't stop there. He presented the school with the American flag and his wife with an engagement ring 12 years after they first eloped.
Just kind of shocked that you came here, Daddy. I was really shocked about it.
Time couldn't move fast enough for me to come back home.
The whole family was overwhelmed and grateful. Now they can focus on the simple ways to appreciate their time together.
I might just chill out with him, play. I'm gonna cuddle.
We're gonna cuddle.
You're gonna cuddle? Yes, you're gonna have plenty of cuddles.
But Bob Ramos wasn't the only one who surprised his kids at school. According to Fox 7 Austin, 14-year-old Matthew Tatum dressed up as his father, Army Sergeant Nathan Tatum, for a Halloween costume contest. Matthew and his two younger brothers, Christopher and Josh, had no idea that Sergeant Tatum had just returned from 7 months in South Korea. While Matthew was explaining his costume to his classmates, Sergeant Tatum gave the brothers something better than candy. This trick was definitely more like a treat.
It's one of those feelings that you can't describe. It's just pure joy and happiness.
Stories like these remind us that even when we're apart from our family, their love is never far away. Many of our soldiers have had families to come home to, but what about those who don't? Our next two stories show the American family stepping in to celebrate the memories of our fallen troops. Richard Lee Anderson served our country in the Navy. He passed away in March in a hospital with no next of kin. But one group of volunteers wasn't about to let him be alone at his funeral service. According to Fox 7 Austin, the Patriot Guard riders served as pallbearers and fulfilled their pledge to see that military veterans are given the dignity and respect they deserve at memorial services.
It's kind of sad that he doesn't have any family, and so we're going to step in and be that family for him today.
After Anderson's body went unclaimed, the hospital reached out to affordable burial and cremation services because of their free services to homeless and unclaimed veterans.
He does have family here, and we, as veterans and patriots, are his family. And it's an honor and a privilege to serve him this one last time.
Anderson was given military honors by an honor guard. Another group paying their respects to fallen soldiers volunteered their time to clean up veterans' grave sites. Roy DeYoung Jr. isn't a groundskeeper at this cemetery. He's a volunteer firefighter and a proud American. During a recent trip to his father's grave, he noticed the headstones of other veterans were overgrown. So he called up some friends and they went to work.
These people gave their life for us, the servicemen and women. They deserve respect in life and in death.
There are over 150,000 grave markers at George Washington Memorial Park, 3,000 of which belong to veterans. And not all have families to take care of them. Roy and the volunteers are honored to step up.
I'm very proud to be an American, and these veterans gave us everything that we have today, and they deserve that out of respect.
Because of these men and women showing respect, no soldier gets left behind in this life or the next. 75 years later, the attack on Pearl Harbor remains one of the deadliest on U.S. soil. More than 2,400 servicemen and civilians died in the surprise attack by Japan. Almost half of them were aboard the USS Arizona, which sunk to the ocean's floor. December 7th, 1941 continues to live in infamy. But for survivors, it also continues to live in camaraderie. Of the 344 that survived the sinking of the USS Arizona, only 5 are still alive today. Among them is 95-year-old Lou Conter, who made the journey to Hawaii for the 75th anniversary of the USS Arizona Memorial. According to Fox 2 San Francisco, he carried with him the ashes of Clarendon Hetrick, a survivor who passed away last year. Clarendon's ashes were spread over the ocean, burying him with his fellow comrades. When the time comes, Conter plans on joining him, as many of the survivors have done over the years.
You know, they call us the heroes, but we're not the heroes. The heroes are the ones that gave everything, their lives that day, and they're still there.
As time goes by and the remaining survivors join their mates, it is imperative to learn their stories so that we never forget, to honor their memories, and to remember our resilience. The oldest living veteran is 111 years old. World War II vet Richard Overton still lives in the same house he built with his own 2 hands nearly 70 years ago. As the oldest living person in any of the 50 states, Overton has seen it all. So the secret to his age? Overton says, "I don't have a secret. I am here because the man upstairs wants me to be here. He put me here and he decides when it's my time to go." Overton also says the occasional whiskey and cigar doesn't hurt either. So that's it for our Celebrating Heroes special episode. We hope you enjoyed taking a look back at these inspiring stories. From all of us here at Top 30, we would like to say thank you to our veterans, current service members, and military families. We salute your patriotism and selflessness to defend our freedom. We hope you have a safe and happy Veterans Day.